And here I am. I'm Dr. Casey Broadway, and today we have a very, very special guest. We have Miss Srinakorn, or we call her Peng. Welcome, Peng. Okay, I think we have to unmute Peng for a while. Yes,
Hello, everyone.
nice to have you on our show again today as our guest speaker. So, Peng is a speech and language therapist from the Bamrungrad Hospital in Bangkok, Thailand. And today we will be speaking to you on two topics. One topic is on the larynx, and the other one we are going a little bit more clinical and going to talk about vocal nodules. All right, so today you will learn two things. So the first thing is that we need to know the vocal tract. Last week we talked about the power source filter and we talked about sirens. Okay, so I'll visit that a little bit. So we know that we can use sirens for lots of things and how to get our muscles moving. Like what I say, like for a sports person, usually they will have lots of warm-ups, I mean stretching and so on. But usually for singers and most of us who use our voice, we always jump to the piano and we press our do re mi fa so's and to sing as high as we can and to as low as we can. But what we forgot is that we are not yet stretching our muscles to prepare our voice and we jump straight into singing. So for some people, the muscles could go into a shock or an extreme state that where it's not prepared to move. So that's where we introduce the siren. All right, and then we just revise the siren. Maybe we all can do it together so that we all prepare our voice. All right, so just silently for ourselves, we just go one siren, and then we go two. And then, if it's all okay, we go multiple. Yeah. So at your own free time, you can do the sirens. Yep, at any time while you're driving, or for students, if your parents or a guardian are sending you for your vocal class, instead of waiting for the teacher to start warming up your voice, you could do your sirens on the way, and parents can join in as well. Yeah, so siren is a very, very good thing to wake up the voice. You can do it in the morning, you can do it at any time. It's not loud. And remember, when you're doing the siren, do not try to compete with one another. All right. Okay, so that's got to do with the siren. Now, this relates to the topic for today, which is larynx. So maybe not everyone know what we are talking about. So take a look at this video that I've prepared for you. So just have a look at this video for a while.
The laryngeal skeleton is formed principally by the hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, and the cricoid cartilage. The hyoid bone is shaped like a horseshoe. The muscles of the neck support it, and it, in turn, supports the base of the tongue. The thyroid cartilage, better known as the Adam's apple, is shield-shaped with a notch on its top edge. The thyrohyoid membrane connects it to the hyoid bone above. The cricoid is a complete signet-shaped ring with its broad aspect posterior. You can easily feel the cricoid cartilage as a firm ridge 3 to 4 fingers breadths below the hyoid bone and 3 to 4 fingers breadths above the tracheal notch. The cricoid attaches to the thyroid cartilage laterally at 2 cricothyroid joints, allowing both cartilages to move independently and as a unit as the muscles contract. The relatively avascular cricothyroid membrane connects the cricoid and thyroid cartilages anteriorly in the midline.
Okay. So there we have it. So what we want to get everyone to notice is that they need to find where is their thyroid cartilage. All right. So what we're going to do is that, okay, everyone can do this together. All right. So you're going to put your finger over here and move it down. All right. So try and find if you can find a notch over there. If you can find that notch, then that's where your thyroid cartilage is. All right? And then you try and move lightly down, and you can find a little bit more, another bulge at the bottom, and that's where it sits for your cricoid cartilage. It's easier for the men to find their thyroid cartilage, and easier for ladies to find the cricoid cartilage because the sizes are slightly different. And if you feel up here, try to feel if you can feel some soft cartilage here. That will be your hyoid bone. All right, and it suspends all the larynx over here. It's all suspended from the hyoid bone. All right, so this is your thyroid cartilage. Now, why am I talking about the thyroid cartilage? Sorry, about the larynx today. Yeah, we're talking about the larynx because many people would like to find out how pitch is produced. Okay, so it can be produced, of course, yes, from the true vocal folds, but the movement of your larynx, which is made up here of your thyroid and cricoid cartilage, it will help you to raise your pitch and lower the pitch. All right. So a few exercises that we can do. See, now when you look at the mirror when you're doing the siren, do you notice that your Adam's apple, the thyroid cartilage here, or the larynx here, do you notice that it moves up and down? If you don't, try it now. Put your finger here. Maybe you can put one finger or two finger and just do and feel if it's moving up or down. All right? And try to think as you're doing higher sound, where is the larynx moving? Is it moving up? And when you're doing low sound, is it moving down? And when you're just not doing any sound, where does it go to? Does it go back to a certain position? Now, I would not want to say that position is high or low or whatsoever because it depends on where you rest your larynx. For different people, you have some slight variations. So that's something which I want all of you to try now. All right, and there is no right or no wrong because everyone has a slightly different way of feeling it, yeah? So you can feel that. And we can look into the voice print of what is being done. This is my favorite part, always playing with the voice print. Let me share this with you. So if you remember, we did this. Had some bumps here. So probably here there's some phlegm or whatsoever, some mucus. But as you can see, these lines that going up and down. So these are telling me that my larynx are moving up or down. Okay. So with this voice print, we can also know if we are singing it high, mid, or low. For example, e, e, e. Different height of the larynx gives you different timbre of what you sound. Okay, so take a look at it while I play it one more time. It's all this, they're all the same pitch, but gives you different timbre. This helps us a lot, especially for singing teachers or choral directors, especially when we want our choirs to sound either classical or pop or gospel or whatsoever. This helps. So for example, if we want our choirs to sound much more classical, we know that get them to lower down the larynx. That gives you much more space. We go, but the same thing, if we raise up the larynx high up, we get E. It's the same pitch, but different sound altogether. All right, let me show you an example. Let's see, what song shall I sing? Any suggestion? Something which is simple. Don't give me something that I have to crack my voice on live. Let's see. Maybe let's take the snow goes wide on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. All right, right. I've taken that because I know some of our younger viewers are here today, and all of them will know how to sing this song very, very well. Isn't it, younger viewers? Right. So if you're singing it, so if I were to put my larynx high, this is what I get. The snow goes wide on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. If I put it in the mid, I get the snow glows wide on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. I get, whoo, that's my voice. But if I can get it lower, the snow glows wide on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen. You can see how it changes. So one is more biased to the classical sound, and one is more biased to maybe a brighter sound, and one is biased to a pop song. So it depends on where you're, what kind of song that you're singing. For example, if you're singing, I know a lot of people like to sing Adele, isn't it? What is the Adele's famous one? Never mind, I find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you. I think I got the lyrics right. You know it better than I. But what happens if I lower down my larynx? Never mind, I find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best. All of a sudden, I sound like some opera singer trying to sing pop. If I raise it up here, never mind, I find someone like you. I sound like someone who's trying to be a little kid, isn't it? So there you go. The larynx height helps us adjust our voice, and it helps you with your pitch as well. So if you're trying to sing high pitch and you're trying to lower down your larynx a lot, that can be quite of a problem as well. Okay, so learning how to adjust your larynx height is really important. So this is a tip. When you want to raise your larynx up high, try to think like a little 5-year-old girl. Mommy, mommy, I want some candy. You can all try that. Mommy, mommy, I want some candy. And if we just our normal one, mommy, mommy, I want some candy. And let's all try to lower down our larynx and be a big giant or a big bully. Mommy, mommy, I want some candy. Right? It's fun, isn't it? Yeah. So I hope this thing will help you next when you're singing. So because in general, if you're singing classical songs, try to put your larynx slightly lower, then you get that big operatic sound. If you're singing pop, it's you could try and have it at your most neutral or your most comfortable effort here. I mean, like at your relaxed pace, and just try. But if you're trying to sing something which is belty or something which needs very high intensity, you can try and raise it up like a little kid. All right. So you can see the difference. And here's what I'm going to play about with the voice print. Look at this. Hey, look, I made a shape. It looks like like a shape of a boy. Good boy. Yeah, so this one here shows you with the same pitch. Listen again. Yeah, so it shows you the movements where the larynx is, but of course I changed a little bit of some vocal track. Those of you who are doing some of the STL will know I changed a little bit of of the filter just to make it much more obvious. And what did I get? Jack and Jill holding hands. Yeah. All right, but when you look at this, you know that the larynx can move. So this is something which go and try it if you're a singer, or especially if you're a choral director or a vocal teacher. Try that with your entire ensemble. Maybe get a simple song, like for example, like just do like maybe Happy Birthday to you. Maybe you all can try this. No, try this with me. Just normal. You're at a stadium. No, not at a stadium. Let me see. Yeah, you're just normal like this at home. You're tired. You just want to relax, and then mom says, "Hey, it's your dad's birthday. We all forgot about it." So you get up and just sing. Okay, ready? Let's go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. So we feel where the larynx is. Is it down? Is it up? Or is it just normal in the mid? All right. Next thing, if your mom says, if you sing it well, I will buy you that iPhone that you've been wanting. And on top of it, if dad is happy, I'll buy you even an what do you call iWatch to match with it. So you got super excited, okay? And then you sing now. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. All right. And then mom says you're too late. Dad is asleep. So for 2 years' birthday, you will not get that iPhone. And you cry and sing as deep as possible. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Right. So you have done that scenario that I have asked you. Okay, that I've told you to do. You will find that the larynx, yeah, it moves up and down. Okay, so go and try this. So this is one of the vocal tract that that we will be doing out of 13. Remember I said there's 13? So this is one of it. At the end of today's session, I will invite any member of the audience to try the voice sprint, and Peng will work with me, and we will help you out regarding with this. All right, so now let's move on to our next topic. Okay, just give me a second while I prepare the board. So now I'll show you again. So this introduce you Peng. So our guest speaker today. Peng is a speech and language therapist from the Bamrungrad Hospital in Bangkok. All right, so let's ask Peng. Peng, you're here with us today.
Unmute. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. So everyone, you are very fortunate today to have a specialist here with us who specializes in speech and language. All right, and Peng also is one of us who does the Esteel work. So we are going to talk to you today about vocal nodules. Okay, so so maybe Peng, you would like to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Um, okay, I don't know if everybody knows about speech or everybody is a speechy themselves here, but we work with the patient in different kinds. For example, we work with children who have delayed speech and language, for example, autistic or kinds of Down syndrome. And also we work with adults, for example, stroke patient and the voice patient as well. So we not work only with speech, but we also work on language. That's why we call it speech and language therapist or pathologist. It depends.
Thank you. So I'm sure in your daily routine you come across also that you have to do therapy for patients that are having vocal trauma, isn't it?
Yes, we do have. And the most common that I have seen is the vocal nodules, which we will talk about it today.
Yes, okay. So I'll show. Meanwhile, I'll show the audience about I'll show the photo of a vocal nodules.
Okay. So as you see on the picture, you see small things like the bumpy on the vocal folds, right? And that's a vocal nodules. What is it? Well, what are they? Because normally they are bilateral. It can happen only one side, but most of the time we will see bilateral. So it's a small knots that developed on vocal folds, and it protrudes from the surrounding cells. When they first started, it's red or pink, but over time they begin to develop. It turned to be white or grayish, and once it turned to be white or gray, it's pretty hard to get rid of it by speech therapy. Okay.
And then they result to they will have to go for surgery, isn't it?
Yes. So, and right now, because the technology, you can do laser or the CO2 laser. So they have less scar, because as a singer or the people who use voice, you know that we don't want scar because it causes voice damage, right? The
Yes,
movement,
yes.
you cannot, it's not flexible. And once you want to do high pitch, that would be hard to do it.
So we usually find that a lot of vocal teachers fall into this problem of having vocal nodules, because we sing or we teach 8 hours a day, sometimes even more. Well, I sometimes teach, like on my Fridays, I start from 10 o'clock in the morning and I end at 11:30 at night. So that goes like over 12 hours. And well, and some of my colleagues, I'm sure they do that. It's like vocal teachers, it's like when people are free, you teach. When people are busy, you prepare for what to teach, and when and you sneak in sometimes to perform, and also we find that performers also fall into this, and some singers, like we find like some celebrity singers go have vocal nodules as well. So we find that people who use the voice a lot, we get this. But how about in the common situation? Do you have patients like who are just in normal people who are like general clerks or whatsoever who get vocal nodules? How often is it?
Well, we have, it can happen in children as well, but mainly because they yell so much or shouting, like at the sport event, and they just shout, or like in the playground. Imagine that, like they play football, it's huge, right? And it's open space, and so they shout. That can cause it. And well, I have like a housewife, she has it as well, but mainly because she has to talk with her children a lot. So not just because you are abuse your voice by yelling or shouting, but the over talk, like excessive talking, can cause a vocal nodules as well. Like politicians, they talk a lot. Teacher, singer, like you can, maybe you have heard that we call the singer nodules.
Yes. And also, like, I would like to add on, like, acid reflux as well, isn't it?
Reflux, it would be not really cause a nodule. It might we call it differently. We call ulcer.
Ulcers, okay.
Yes.
Right, and we know that especially for singers, for those people who are belting, that are singing very very loud singing, almost you're yelling to the top of your lungs. Well, the thing about that is that many classical teachers would tell their students, don't belt, you'll spoil your voice. But hey, the Broadway people do it 8 times, 8 shows a week, and yet they don't spoil their voice. So there must be something in which these people are doing that is correct. And we will come to talk about that when we are talking about this part, in which the subglottal pressure, because excessive use of the vocal folds. See, what happens when people try to sing loud is, remember, if you remember last week, I talked about, I mean to the audience, I talked about breathing, where some people spend 6 months into breathing, whereas we all know that as soon as we are born, we breathe. And we don't need to learn how to breathe, because now we can do this exercise, like where you totally breathe out and then sing something or just say something. You can, like, okay, breathe out, totally breathe out, and then go into a voice or into a sound. until it's depleted. All right. You will find that even when you don't have enough air, when you don't have air anymore, you can still produce sound. And what happens to the body? You will instantly breathe again. When there's negative pressure inside, your lungs automatically brings in air again. All right, so that's the recoiled breath. So relating to these vocal nodules, what we find with a lot of belters is that when they try to sing high and loud notes, they take in a whole deep breath, and then they try to push all this breath out. And if we know that when we are belting, our vocal folds are in thick, so we're having thick vocal folds, and how do I say, longer closed face. So the pressure that's building underneath the vocal folds, that subglottal pressure, is pressing against the vocal folds, right, from the bottom. And from the top, maybe they are also having constriction. So continuous of that cycle will cause swelling in the vocal folds, and do it repeatedly, and that can also produce vocal nodules. Do you agree with that, Peng?
Yes. However, I think it still has the way to try to belt without causing the problem, and don't use many of your breath, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We will cover about belting, but you will have to cover these 13 vocal tracks first, which means you have to cover 13 of our sessions before we go into belting, and belting is one of the last that we'll teach. Why? Because you will need to have total control of all your 13 vocal tracks before you can belt. Well, even a lot of the STL practitioners will not write belting into a book, because if it's done wrong, it can be very detrimental to health. And that's why we prefer to teach you on a personal basis on how to do. I belt it all the time. I sometimes take, I used to take, what is that song? Maybe this time, and I will sing in a female key, and right up there. Now, I don't falsetto my voice, but I belt it at that high range. I used to try and do that and show my students silly stunts, like for me, jumping, like as if you're skipping and singing that, and the voice doesn't crack at all. Why? It's because of how we control the muscles. So be patient. We will touch that after you've done the 13 vocal tracks. So now we'll get back into these vocal nodules, and I think for many of our audience who are not in the medical field, will need to have a look at this in the structure of your the vocal tracts. Maybe Peng, you want to do the explanation, or
You can do it.
Okay.
I think you can do it better than I do.
No, you're in the clinical part. So we look at this. So we have our nose and we have our mouth, and we get to breathe in both parts, right? So these are all the vocal tracts, okay? And we have our tongue. So a lot of people seem to think that the tongue is just that thin layer, but hey, look at it. It's such a huge one. When we come to the topic of tongue, I'll show you an MRI scan of the tongue sideways on how large the tongue is at all the different positions. Many of us will be so surprised how the tongue movements are. Okay, so we have the tongue, and then we go in here, and this we have the epiglottis, and this part is important because we have two tubes. If you can look at where the cursor is. So the first tube at the front is your windpipe, or the trachea. It goes into your lungs. And the one at the back is the esophagus, which goes into your stomach and so on. So here is where I would like to say, because I do have experience of my students keep on telling me that I don't have enough wind in my stomach today, or my stomach is upset, I don't have enough wind. So I'm going to ask you a question. What happens if you totally push everything out from your stomach? What do you get? All right, so we don't want that, because you know, when you push everything out from your stomach, you get all your stomach acid and all the food that you have eaten. So that wouldn't produce any sound. The sound, the air is produced from the lungs. Okay, I know it's very difficult to digest, especially if we are taught in a very how to say, a very, very strong way of like, it's all about the breath, it's all from the diaphragm. And now here we're saying that the diaphragm has too few receptive fibers for you to feel and control that. And what we are controlling are other muscles, in which we'll talk about the four muscles, which is the sternocleidomastoid, the quadratus lumborum, latissimus dorsi, and the pectoralis major. These four muscles that in terms will work, and you will feel that as if the diaphragm is doing the work. Yeah, it's like what we say, lembu punya susu sapi dapat nama. Yeah, it's just a Malay proverb, isn't it? So yeah, so you will look at it. So this is very, very important. And where our voice box is here, your larynx, yeah? And this is where the vocal folds sits. And you have two sets of vocal folds, which is the true vocal folds and the false vocal folds. So the true vocal fold sits at the bottom and the false vocal fold sits at the top. All right, so that's you need to know about that. And I'll show you another slide. So this is a video that we can have a look that I've prepared for you on what happens when you're having vocal nodules, and let's see. Now, before I show that, I just want to, because so that at least you get the orientation right. When we are looking at the throat, so we are looking at the top. What they did is they put the camera in your nose and it's sitting this way, looking down. So as you can see, I've labeled this. This is the front of the throat and this is the back of the throat. How do we know? Look at where it's pointing. It's like this, the arrow. So this is the front. So here onwards, it's your tongue, and at the back here is where you go to the esophagus. So this is where it goes into your airways, all right? So this is the false vocal folds at the top here, you see, and this is your true vocal folds, the white ones. And you have the arytenoids. So this is very important for you to know, and even for the young ones. It's not that difficult if you just pay attention to it and do these little exercises, okay? And to learn these 13 vocal tracts in the beginning, it can be very dry. It's just like, you know, learning what is let me give you an analogy. You go for a cooking class. The first thing the teacher teaches you is, this is an onion, this is a potato, you can cut it this way, you can dice it, you can cut it long, and so on. And then once you know how to do that, when you go into the next class, they'll teach you how to cook yellow curry, green curry, tom yum soup. But you will need to know what kind of style you need to dice and mix it in. And then later on, you have someone saying that, okay, I want it to be less spicy but still red. What do? You substitute chilies with tomatoes and so on. Coming back to what we are learning now, it's important for you to get the idea of how all these different parts of the body work. And then when we start combining it later on to have belting, to have opera sounds and so on, it will help you very much when we start to mix all these ingredients together. Okay, so that's why I want to show you this photo, and for you to get the orientation of where's the front and where's the back. Right, so now I'll show you the video. So this is how it looks like, and yeah. Okay, as you can see, so these are the arytenoids, so it's closing. So these are the vocal folds. These are false vocal folds, these are the true vocal folds. This is the front. Okay, so here is the vocal nodules, and we can see that the true vocal folds doesn't meet completely. So there is a gap in between which the air escapes. So that is where when you sing, you won't get that sweet sound, but you have that sexy, breathy sound. Okay? You get that. Well, some people call it sexy and they just say, you know, sing it. All right, so let's have a look. And I can see also from this video that something is not right here, where this is probably the right arytenoid is moving above the left arytenoid, isn't it, Peng? There might be some abnormalities going on here.
It looks like that. However, I don't know because of the angle of the camera.
Ah.
Right?
Yeah. So I'll play it. Okay, and if you look at that video also, remember we talked about larynx height, and you can see towards the end of the video, all of a sudden it's much closer to our face. That's why we know that the larynx has traveled up. Okay, and when you see it much further away, which means the larynx is traveling down. So imagine this is the camera, this is the larynx. It goes like this, up and down. Yeah, it can also tilt forward and backward, but we will talk about that when we go into thyroid cartilage. So I'll play for you the video again and look at it, how it sounds. So you can see a lot of gaps here. So what is happening that we see is that when you have vocal nodules, if you're singing it loud, it's difficult for us to detect. But as soon as you sing soft and high pitch, when the vibration is less than the part where it's having the vocal nodules, that's where we can detect. Yeah, I think Peng will be able to describe that in more precision, isn't it?
Well, most of the time, the people who comes in the clinic, they will mention that, oh, my voice is getting breathy or hoarseness. Or if they are singer, they will say that I cannot go up high, it's like crack. Or I have a vocal fatigue, like they can speak a little bit and then they get tired. And also, we'll ask them to do the ratio between the S sound and the Z sound to check from the perceptive first, and then, but most of the time, the ear, nose, throat doctor will look inside of your port with that video stroboscopy or endoscopy. So they make sure that what caused it. Okay, but we can ask from the history what really happened. That kind first is like multidisciplinary group working together to get the exact diagnosed.
Yes, and so like what are the dangers that when we have vocal nodules?
Well, it cannot, well, we define it as a benign nodule, so they will not change into cancer. Okay, that's one thing that you can be pretty sure about it. But I think people get annoyed because they cannot use their voice the same way. When we look at the patient, we have to look about the medical, we have to look about the social and how it affects their daily life as well. So that's as a speech, we have to look.
Yes, so very, very important. So if you are a singer out there, or if you're a teacher, or you're using your voice, please check out for these symptoms. Yeah. So in case you're having like you see it on the slide that I've provided above here, you have hoarseness, painful phonation, frequent voice breaks, reduced vocal range. Then these are some symptoms that you will need to be alert, and then to consult with an ENT or like a voice teacher, or those who are voice teachers, of course. If you can diagnose it, or if you know someone who knows it, that's better. Or you can always visit an ENT or a voice therapist, speech therapist like Peng, and does that. Then yeah, it's important to know what is happening, because if you prolong that vocal nodule, it can be quite uncomfortable, and singers will find that our range, suddenly you cannot sing high notes anymore, or then sometimes when you need to sing soft, it becomes very, very breathy and you have to push more for the notes. So these are signs that you have to have it checked out. Yeah. So my last question, yeah, it's an interesting topic. Actually, this one I can go on and on and on. It's one of voice signs which I love talking about. So my last question for Peng is, what sort of home remedies or exercises that we can do if we suspect that we have vocal nodules? Okay, so what can we do?
Um, what I suggest is you have to raise your voice. For those people who talking a lot, I suggest that if you can talk like an hour and then have your voice raised for 15 minutes, that would be great. But for those who really cannot, like teacher, it's quite hard sometimes. Then they need equipment to help them. For example, microphone, because it's not good to just shout over like 20 students. So we try to find something to facilitate their work, but they can also live their life and do their work. Okay. Also, we will look at the patient and we ask like, oh, do they drink enough water? Because it's very important to hydrate yourself, right? Imagine when our cord moving a lot and you don't have enough water to cover it. The outer part, it needs a mucus, right? And then when it dry, if you rub your hand for a long time without water, it's very hot. It causes the same thing for your cord. So you need water. Make sure that you drink enough of water. Don't use your voice for so long, or do not talk in a very loud environment. Okay. And do not talk when you do some exercise that it's like overload for your vocal cord as well. Other things that you can do at home is also steaming.
Yes.
Yes, just on the somebody asked like, oh, I go to the steam room and do the whole body? I said sure, but if you don't have that, you can do steam only with your face part.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the hot steam or the cold steam. The cold steam just you have
humidifier.
Yeah, humidifier. That's that one thing, but the cold one, I mean, you use this temperature water, put on the cloth, and then put on your nose and breathe. Okay, that's and another one is like the real steam, the hot steaming, that you get the steam from the boiled water.
Yes, I usually use the hot steam because I have a steamer, and then but we have to really be careful not to burn the throat, depending on the temperature as well. So yeah, steaming is good. But I remember through one of our discussions that we really need to know if it's vocal nodules or vocal polyps, because one of it doesn't work with steaming, isn't it?
Right, and you have to be careful if it has blood. Go on. If you once a doctor look at your cord and then there is laryngitis or something, that they are made too much of blood supply at that at your vocal cord, you should not do the hot steam, because the blood will come more and more, which is not good.
And it's really difficult for us without having the endoscopy to know if it's vocal nodules or vocal polyps, isn't it? Because it's like
right, and it could be other stuff as well. I have to tell you this: vocal cord can have cancer as well. So you have to be careful to check first, to rule out. That's very important.
Yes.
And one thing that we would like to talk about is straw exercise, right?
Yes.
So you need straw, of course, it's straw exercise. And if you have the bend one, that don't bend it, make it straight, and the water in your cup. And you just blow. I don't know if you can see that one. Check it first, and then you can add the sound like ooh. Make it up. Can you explain that? Like to
Yeah.
feel that it's up the vibration. You don't use it here, but you use the vibration here.
So what Peng is trying to help us is, because what happens when we get vocal nodules is because we are always compressing in this vocal, our vocal folds here very much. So by doing the exercise, we are trying to lift the pressure from the laryngeal level right up to the mask. So by doing that bubbly sound, we are trying to remove the weight from here, the pressure, right up to the mask. So sometimes we can feel some tingling, tickling kind of sensation over here, over at the mask, and try to sing very lightly as you're doing that. So the whole concept is we remove pressure, and hopefully that when we do it a lot, we will create that habit of not having pressure here and alter the way how we produce that sound.
Oh, I would like to add on something. You have to make sure that when you speak, you not tense your body. For example, somebody will talk with lift the shoulder or very tense when they talk. So that's not very healthy for your cord. And when you speak as well, it's imagine you hold it this way, and when you talk, it's very bad, right? You have to relax, and then your sound will be better. And if you cannot do the straw exercise because you don't understand how can we make that feeling, the vibration on your face, you can do like like sound, and you feel the vibration on your nose, and it goes along to your cheeks as well. Or you can do that kind. Some adults may find it's quite different. They said, "Oh, I haven't done this for a long time." But if you cannot do that, just do sound. It's the same thing. It helps with the subglottal pressure.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, and then those who are familiar with the sirens, you can also do sirens going down. That will also help. Okay, but when we strengthen our sternocleidomastoid muscles, going, yeah. So yeah, though, thank you, Peng. So it's quite a lot of information that we learned about vocal nodules and how to deal with it. So we will come on next to our question and answer session. So before that, I'll play you a video from our sponsors, and then we'll come to our question and answer. So be prepared for your questions. Okay, so there you have it. So now it's time for our Q&A session for anyone who has any questions for Peng or myself. And then you can also try the voice print. So I think we have a first question from Hazrik. Hello, Hazrik.
Hello, hello. Hello, Dr. Casey and Ms. Pen. So I have a few questions.
Yes, go ahead. We have lost you there.
Take to develop, shouting too much. And the
Can you
third
repeat?
question, if like as in shoulder,
So we couldn't
the
hear
second question.
the first question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, the first question. Just now that we say that one of the management for the patient that they might be the patient might be managed with surgery, okay, and that might cause scar. And once the patient have the surgery or the vocal nodule itself, is it reversible or permanent? Okay, that's the first question.
So right now with the laser, right? So once it's removed, you mean if the nodules can come back again, or about the voice?
I think it means like the scar, if there's a scarring, whether it can be reversible.
Well, yes, I have seen many patients like after they have it removed, the voice is good, but you have to follow the protocol after the surgery as well. For example, you are not allowed to use your voice maybe 5 days, to make sure that your voice, the scar is recovered. And then they allow you to use maybe 20% of the daily that you can use, and then add up a little bit more. So what I have seen after the surgery, the voice can come back like 100% or 99%. It depends on what do you work. If you're a singer, then you may not happy. I do not know, but it's a perception as well.
Okay. So Hazrik, your second question.
Okay, the second question. How long does it take for vocal nodules to develop by shouting and whatnot?
That's pretty hard to tell. Do you have any idea, CK? Because they will come and they said, oh, it's just like, oh, somebody said, I just have coughing last month and then it's started. But most of the time, I think they have it, but maybe it's very small, and sometimes your body can compensate.
Yes.
You understand? So your voice is not overnight. It's not like turn to be breathy or hoarse overnight.
It's, I think, accumulated, because what I normally find is that the usual cases of vocal nodule happens a high percentage is after when they have like flu and they have extreme cough a lot, which is a lot of hitting of the vocal folds, and then they develop that. And then the rest for singers is when they have to sing for prolonged. So it's like bit by bit. So I give an example. Like there is not like a very definite time frame. So for example, like you wear your shoes, you get blister today, you take off your shoes, it heals, and then you wear it again, it gets more, you get blister at the same spot and it heals. So repeatedly it develops a callus. So it is really like how many cycles that it happens, and then it will develop the vocal nodules. That's through my observation. And some people, it can be like, I mean, the fastest of course when they're sick and they cough a lot, like, extreme coughing, that's very very fast. Or else for usually for singers it's developed through time, and that's why for singers especially who develop it through time, it's also the same reverse process, because they have to get rid of that habit of using the voice that way. So that is, for me, that's my my experience. It's like if they take like 1 year to develop vocal nodules, they will need 1 year as well to get rid of that habit and to change the way that they produce sound.
Oh, and I would like to add that once you remove it, and if you still use it the same way, the old way, it come back.
Yes. Does that answer your question 1 and 2, Hazrik?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. And we have also a question from one of our young viewers. Where is she now? I can't see her. She was raising her hand just now. Oh, yes, from Lim, isn't it? I'm going to. Okay, yes. What's your question?
Hello, Dr. Casey and Dr. Peng. I would like to know, sometimes when we sing high pitch, we run out of voice. How can we maintain the sound of it and prolong the voice?
Okay, thank you. So, Peng, do you want to take this?
No, it's artistic thing. It's not about mine. It has to
Okay.
be you.
All right. So the first thing you're asking is how do you sustain a high voice and it long, isn't it?
Ah,
Okay. So first thing for high voice, we need to know what works. So of course, I'm going to make it easier for you. So now, to get your high voice, what you can try is okay. How old are you?
10. This year
10 years old. So you're going to imagine if you have a little sister which is 5 years old. So if you have a sister 5 years old, how would your sister say count 1 to 5? Imagine a very little girl. 1, 2, 3. Can you do that?
Okay.
Yeah. So just imagine and just try to feel where the voice is, where the larynx is moving. So we can try that. So that will get us into our high pitch. And the next thing is we have got to learn how to sustain. All right. So if, for example, if we are feeling the strength between 1 to 5, we are doing a 5. So we maintain that. So we have to sustain that, and then you will get that high pitch, and it will be prolonged. Okay, so you can try that. So for you, what you can do is maybe you can take a rubber band. I don't have a rubber band at the moment. For example, if you take a rubber band, if you pull it, you stretch it. Maybe you stretch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, Yuana has a rubber band. Okay, so for example, Yuana. Okay, so you can look at Yuana's screen. So Yuana, can you stretch it maybe to a 3? Maybe okay. So if that way, so if just like this, so sustain that. Hold that one so you can feel how much the muscles are working. So how high the pitch is to sustain that, it's all regarding the muscle. Okay, so try and feel that. Try and play with the rubber band and don't move the rubber band. Don't go and suddenly change the rubber band strength. Maintain the same one, but at the same time make sure that it's not choking up here. All right, so for you, what's your name again? Lim, yes. So Lim, when you're trying to sing that high notes and sustain, yeah, just try and think like a 5-year-old girl and be very, very cute up there and hold your rubber band this way. All right, and make sure your body is strong. All right, if you need it to be loud, and if you need it to be soft, then you can be very relaxed and always try to be teeny tiny 5-year-old girl. Then you can get your high notes. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
All right, you're most welcome. So I think we have time for one more question from anyone. Yes, Yuana?
Okay. From somebody who is a mediocre singer, like a bathroom singer, can you train her or him to be a very, very good singer in your way? Dr. Casey?
Okay, thank you, Yuana. First thing is, let me tell you, everyone has a beautiful voice. Joe Steele says it, and I truly believe everyone has a beautiful voice. Now, it is how that we utilize this tool that makes us either sound good or bad. And good or bad also is what we humans create to our own standards. Take, for example, if we go into the jungles of the Papua New Guinea, where people are singing in a different style. Papua is not a good example. Maybe take it in the Brazilian jungle, where you hear those healing songs, maybe people going like, For us, we may think that's noise, but to them, that is a sort of ritual, and that's the way it's being sung, and that's good. All right. But if we are talking based on Western singing, like what you and I are doing, yes, we could train. First thing is the awareness of what your instrument can do. See, because it's all got to do with also our age as well, and how flexible these vocal tracks can do. So if we can identify, first thing is to know all our vocal tracks, what produces this sound and what produces that sound. For example, today we work on the larynx height. We know that if we raise our larynx, we get higher. It's easier for us to get lighter, higher pitch, and when we lower down our larynx, we get larger sound. So that's one thing we can manipulate. Second thing, then what we can do is to the degree of flexibility in which we can train. So once you know how to manipulate all these different vocal tracks, you add it up together, and that's where we go into the artistry part, which is the musicality. So there is the technicality part, in which what we are covering now in our voice clinic, and there's another part which is the musicality. And I believe musicality can come once you are able to enjoy, I use the word enjoy, combining all your vocal tracks to produce sound that you are not fighting with yourself. Because most of us, why when we find that we are not happy with our singing, is because we are fighting with our own instrument. If you're playing a saxophone, you can easily change the pads or the screw. But if it's your voice, you will have to know how to fix it internally. So that's where knowledge like voice science really helps, because no matter what it is, it all comes back to your instrument. Someone may say that that person has a higher voice. A typical thing that everyone will say is that as soon as someone can reach the highest voice, they are the best singer of all. But hey, not every instrument goes up high. The alto saxophone and the baritone saxophone. The baritone saxophone doesn't go as high as a soprano or an alto saxophone. So every single individual has their own voice, beautiful voice to the extent of what they can produce. But I think what we are talking here is to match to the general acceptance of all when we sing Western music. So my answer, my long-winded answer that I've given you just now is yes, you can do that. First thing is, make sure you are aware of the 13 your vocal tracks on how it works. And then once you know how it works, the next thing is how to combine everything. That is where we come to the artistry part. And then with that, you mix it together along with your musicality, you'll be a superb singer.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So yes, so we have run out of time. Thank you very much, Peng, for joining us today. Thank you every one of you for joining us. And if you have any questions, please send me an email. You can either add me on Facebook, Casey Broadway, but when you add me on Facebook, please send me a message and tell me who you are. I'm quite phobia about scams these days, you know, because some of my friends' Facebook all have been hacked, and that's the only Facebook that I have. So yeah, please send me a message, tell me who you are, or you can also send me an email to drcaseybroadway@gmail.com. You have any questions regarding your vocal health, or if you want to be in touch with Peng, you can let me know. Yeah, Peng told me to just be to let you know in private about your vocal health or any of your concerns about your singing or anything. Please send your questions over, and I will be very more than happy to work with you and along this way into fulfilling your goals and objective with your voice. So once again, thank you. Please share all this with your friends, and we will see you next week with our guest from the Philippines, Mr. Anthony Villanueva, who is the choral director of Srinakorn, Manila, and Philippines. And we'll be talking about the thyroid cartilage and also various approach in vocalization. So we use different vocalization to help us. So that's with Mr. Villanueva next week. And Mr. Villanueva is one of Philippines' top choral directors after winning many awards in Europe. So we will have some tips for him. I know if you're a choral director or you're a chorister out there, you'll be dying to have lots of questions to ask him. And also we'll be talking about the thyroid cartilage. So today we work on the larynx. Next week, we'll work on the thyroid cartilage. So until then, please share with your friends and let them know about our voice clinic. And once again, thank you to ASWARA for sponsoring this voice clinic and to organize it, because without ASWARA, this program wouldn't be up here today. So thank you very much to ASWARA. Thank you to all of you for supporting it, because the more hits that we have, the more that this program will get sponsored and will go on. So we'll be going on until September, and if you like it, please help to make sure that we have more hits, more viewers every session, and hopefully this program will go on and we can continue sharing with all our friends. Thank you very much. Before we go, can we get a group photo? So I'll have two screens, yeah? Hang on. So each screen I'll have 3 times, so we have to take 6 times. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll move on to the next screen. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hang on. 1, 2, 3. And next one. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Thank you, everyone. So take care. Behave yourselves during CMCO. Make sure that Minister don't change it again to MCO, or else we all will be cracking our heads now. Enjoy our freedom, but please stay safe so that we can all start to get back to our usual lives by the time Raya comes. Take care. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you.